Collisions, close calls, cop cars, and carts? This episode is packed with fails, faults, flubs, and funnies, so hold on tight. Morgan had just finished making fun of what he calls a goofy paint job on the Nissan in front of him at a traffic light. As the Nissan driver accelerated away, racing another driver next to him, he lost control and left the road.
Oh my... We need to stop. We need to stop. We need to call 911.
Morgan immediately pulled over, calling 911 while his wife ran to render aid. The driver who'd been racing the Nissan then accidentally put his car in reverse before getting out and had to climb through his window to get to the brake. Morgan told us the Nissan driver wasn't seriously injured and was treated by paramedics for a tiny scratch on his head. Police wrote him a citation after he admitted to driving recklessly. The other racing driver noped out once it was clear the Nissan driver was okay. Morgan gave the police a copy of his dashcam footage, but he never heard anything back from them. He told us that after this incident, they've upgraded their dashcam to 4K, a decision we definitely support. If you need a high-quality dashcam for your car, links to our recommendations are in the video description. Our next clip is in 4K, and I think the difference is obvious. Turkey was driving home from work when he got cut off by another driver changing lanes. What happened next was completely unexpected. A sedan from the other side of the road came flying across the median divider, throwing dirt and rocks everywhere before hitting a large truck and getting rear-ended by another car. Turkey's Nissan Maxima missed being hit by the other car by inches. I wonder what might have happened if he hadn't been cut off and forced to slow down. Andres was on his way to Target when a car suddenly drove right in front of him, followed closely by a police car with emergency lights active. Andres told us Target employees had seen the car being stolen in their parking lot and called 911. The car was being driven away as the cops arrived. The chase continued down a nearby highway after the thief narrowly missed hitting Andres. Isa was driving late one evening when she ended up behind a driver who was braking erratically. As she was forced to stop suddenly, the driver behind her rear-ended her Kia Soul, pushing it into the back of the car in front of her. Isa told us that she found out later that the driver who rear-ended her lied to the police, telling them that Isa had cut her off and caused the collision. The dashcam footage proves that's not true. Thankfully, nobody was injured. Isa's car was repaired for about $8,500 and repairs that should have taken a week actually lasted 2 months. Thankfully, the other driver's insurance paid for all of it. Isa wanted to shout out her son Alex, who introduced her to the Wham Bam channels and encouraged her to send us her video. Thanks, Alex! Brandon was driving home when an oncoming driver started rapidly flashing his high beams at him. At first, he couldn't figure out why, but the reason quickly became apparent. Brandon pulled over and called the police non-emergency line to report the forsaken furniture, but then a pickup pulled up and people began loading it into the bed. Brandon's guessing they were the owners of the couch, and he left once they'd taken it away. Watch what happened when Joe went to turn onto a one-way road. Joe said the driver of the Land Rover drove off, seemingly without realizing she was going the wrong way. Robert was heading to Chick-fil-A on his way home from the airport when another driver suddenly merged in front of him, giving him no time to avoid a collision.
What the f***?
Robert called 911, but the operator told him to make a report online since nobody was injured. As a result, no first responders arrived and no witness statements were collected. Robert told us that the other driver told his insurance provider he'd been driving along and minding his own business when Robert came out of nowhere and ran into him. With no other witnesses or reports, Robert's only option was to send the insurance company his dashcam video. Once they'd seen it, they found the other driver at fault for the collision. Canard was driving down a California highway when he noticed black smoke rising in the distance. As they approached the source of the smoke, they found a car on the side of the road engulfed in flames. Canard didn't see anyone in or around the car as they drove by. With police arriving right behind them and nothing they could do to help, they continued on. They wanted to shout out their two boys for being brave. We wanted to shout them out for convincing Canard to get a dashcam just 2 weeks before this happened. Good job, guys! Eli was obeying the 55-mile-per-hour speed limit when a Ford SUV blew past him on the shoulder. The SUV kicked dirt and debris up onto Eli's Hyundai Elantra as it sped past him. He estimated the SUV's speed at around 70 miles per hour, and he told us it continued weaving through traffic at high speed. Rudy was driving in Bellevue, Washington when he watched a Kia Soul driver turn across traffic and get hit by a pickup truck. The impact ripped off the Kia's rear bumper cover and damaged the driver's quarter panel. Rudy had to continue to get to a meeting, but it doesn't look like anyone was injured. He told us he'd been wanting to get a dashcam for a while, and he captured this video 2 weeks after getting one. He also wanted to shout out his girlfriend, Denise. Viet encountered this week's Tesla behaving badly while on the way home.
That Tesla man can't drive. That Tesla man can't drive.
The Tesla driver turned into the wrong lane, nearly colliding with Viet's Mazda CX-30. Thankfully, Viet was paying attention and swerved to avoid colliding with the white Model 3. Brian's wife Sharon was driving straight through an intersection when a pickup driver in the right lane suddenly began turning left across Sharon's lane. Sharon swerved around the pickup truck before the driver continued making his illegal left turn. She said it seemed like the pickup driver had no idea what was happening. Some viewers have complained about all the shoutouts we give in our videos. Brian asked us to shout out his wife, his daughters Leah and Becca, and his sons Stephen, Braden, Adam, and Brannick. Colby was making a DoorDash delivery when he'd stopped behind other traffic at a red light. When he looked in his rearview mirror, he noticed a pickup truck inching toward his Mini Cooper. Colby and the pickup driver pulled into a parking lot after the pickup eventually bumped into his car. Colby told us the pickup driver was very apologetic. Thankfully, they couldn't find any damage, so they went their separate ways. Colby told us the DoorDash delivery was still on time. He also told us he's a longtime viewer and we inspired him to get his dashcam in the first place. Thanks, Colby. Sean was waiting at a red light on a one-way street.
What the actual
Okay.
The driver of a Honda turned the wrong way, heading between oncoming cars and past Sean's Ioniq 5 before realizing their mistake. They then made a U-turn, cutting between cars to get headed back in the right direction. Andy is an Uber driver who was taking a passenger to a hospital for a cardiac rehab appointment. After a close call like that, I might need some cardiac rehab too. Thankfully, Andy avoided a collision and there was nobody behind him who might have rear-ended his Corolla. Noah was driving home with his little sister after a long trip, and they were both tired. He turned the radio down so his sister could sleep, but this backfired. Noah told us that right after thinking he should pull over at the next exit and rest, he woke up after his VW Golf bounced off the guardrail. He immediately stopped to calm down, but I'm guessing he wasn't tired anymore. Noah told us he's not proud of what happened and is sharing his experience so others won't make his mistake. He's grateful nobody was hurt, other than his wallet. Fixing his car cost him about $3,500 out of his own pocket. Hagen was driving down a California highway amidst a battery of Teslas when the driver of an oncoming Prius tried to use his lane to cut around traffic. Hagen drove around the Prius driver, having no idea what she was trying to accomplish by driving the wrong way. Thankfully, no collisions occurred. Einar was making a quick trip to a store. Out of nowhere, a kid on a scooter emerged, and Einar had to slam on the brakes to avoid hitting him. Thankfully, he was only going about 12 miles per hour, but he told us that watching this video makes his heart race. Jose was driving along when the driver of a van ran a red light, then tried to squeeze into his lane in front of him. He told us he was watching for an opening in oncoming traffic to turn left and didn't see what happened next. Instead of merging behind Jose, the van driver ran into his Toyota Prius. At the time of his submission, Jose was still waiting for his insurance claim to be settled. Angie thinks she spotted the cart demon, but this might actually be the first sighting of a cart angel. Angie was getting annoyed by a guy slowly pushing a shopping cart while busy on his phone, but it seems like the cart was guided into a bollard, causing the guy to drop his phone. Do you have any videos of the cart angel to share, or any other dashcam videos? Be sure to send them in using the link in the description.
Wham, bam, we got a Patreon man. Please support the show.